Alright, all you moviegoers out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And I seriously thought that guy's name who introduces the show was Tim. It really is William? Well then who was the name of the people from the PR department? Mike, Nick, and Steve? Man, I need to learn people's names around here. But before that, folks, I think it's time for us to go into yet another edition of the 3MR. And for this special milestone that we reached that is only 10 cents away from 100, we decided to go with another Captain Spaulding tribute edition of a Rob Zombie classic film known as The Devil's Rejects. And the meat and potatoes of this said murderous film shows our friends at the Firefly family, who is now on the run after the events of what happened in the last film, all trying to rendezvous their way out of the state to head to Mexico, which I find ironic that every single movie where a bad guy's in tries to leave to go to Mexico would be tracked down by none other than the son of the sheriff that was killed in the first film, known as Sheriff Wendell, who is now looking for vigilante justice instead of going by the book. And the reason why I love this film so much, besides the on-screen chemistry with all three members of the Firefly family, which at points turns from murderous horror film into straight-up comedy, is the fact that they managed to get the guy who plays a cop in just about every movie he's been in, William Forsythe, to be the cop in this film. And if you think I'm kidding that he plays a cop or some type of officer in every movie, I have a couple of examples. Not only Deuce Bigalow Male Gigolo, Dick Tracy, the Blue Streak, the one that Martin Lawrence was a fake cop in, and probably one of my favorite movies that he was in of all time, known as The Rock. And I do believe we reviewed that movie during a milestone episode one year too, so full circle for us, full circle. And not only him, you also had another actor who was featured in this film who was also a big part of Rob Zombie's films, along the lines of Ken Foree, which for some strange reason I always thought he would be in some form of disco movie by now, but never really happened. And what I also loved so much about this movie, and one of my favorite parts of the film, has to be when they were on the road trip trying to make their way out, and Captain Spaulding would get in a fight with none other than Otis back and forth about stopping for ice cream and saying, if I take 2 minutes out of my day or 2 seconds, that's the exact amount of time that's bad for my effing health. And then they just started going on about Tutti effing fruity ice cream, which was absolutely hilarious. And he said, there's no way I'm stopping this truck for ice cream. Next thing you know, there they are eating ice cream in the truck. Oh man, but the violence, for those who are hoping for it from the first version of the movie, is there, especially with the opening scene of this film, and this is the only part I'm gonna spoil besides the ice cream part, where a girl who would end up wearing the face of one of her best friends, who would be able to escape the Firefly clan, but unfortunately would get hit by a semi. Yeah, really would get hit by a semi-truck and left in so many pieces on the ground it was hard for them to identify. So trust me, for those out there who are a fan of A House of a Thousand Corpses, this movie turns up the comedy and the violence up to an 11. And definitely will have you rooting for the Firefly clan by the end of it all. And seeing the fact that we don't know how to review movies along the lines of Siskel and Ebert or any of those other famous reviewers out there, we say this. If you guys want to go ahead and watch a movie that features your favorite clan going along that was featured at the Scream Awards, taking out people left and right, all to escape to freedom from the same place that I got a feeling that may have been featured in From Dusk Till Dawn, all while they go stop for ice cream on their makeshift road trip to insanity, then I recommend you go out there and watch that flick. And before I forget, folks, the soundtrack for this movie was definitely top-notch, and it features Freebird by the end of it all. Yeah, something to look forward to for you Lynyrd Skynyrd fans out there. And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back into this music and continue to listen to these diamonds in the rough. And we'll be back with more milestone madness as the Indie Radio Arcade rolls on, right after a word from our sponsors. So don't celebrate with confetti just yet, folks, and stay tuned,